Good evening, all. Ira Epstein of Linn & Associates with your SPDR ETF wrap-up for this Wednesday, tax day. It used to be April 15th, 2021, but it's been extended for most of us. Not corporations and that, but for the average guys, okay? So interesting time. If we take a look at the markets, they were on fire today. You were setting records all over the place. You have other markets that were backing off and playing around, but we'll get to those now. What was today about? Retail sales. Now, a point on the retail sales that I think is important for you before I get to the charts. We saw the March numbers up, 9 and some odd %. That's great. But remember, we had those COVID checks go out, a whole batch of them in March. We have another batch in April that will hit because it went out last week, so I don't know when the money's spent, but most of it will be spent between March and April. And after that, the economy's got to stand more or less on its own, because I don't know how many more COVID relief checks you're going to get. So that's the reality right now. As for the Johnson & Johnson, well, we know the situation, but I'm still betting that the vaccine's going to be released. Now get ready for this. Already Pfizer is telling us that they're going to be having to have another booster shot. What do you think Moderna's going to say? I'm sure it's the same thing. So what they'll try to do going forward is roll your regular flu shot probably into one of these, because, you know, by the time we'll need them, could be September, October. Wouldn't surprise me that that's it. So if you think you're through getting these shots, as I predicted when it first came out, even when they were talking vaccine, I said it's going to be an every year occurrence. I believe that'll be the way for many years to come. These viruses don't go away, they mutate. So like the flu, that's going to be the game that we're in. We can live with that. We got used to polio vaccines, mumps and measles. I mean, there were shots galore. To me, it's just another event. It's unfortunate. We're a rich country, which is great, but the poor countries have a whole different situation, and they have to endure the pain until there's enough vaccines to give them. Denmark's already talking of doing that. In GameStop, we had hit the lower, not we, but the market had hit the lower Bollinger Band, and it did what we, at least here, what I was saying. I thought that was where the pros would cover. You rallied back to the battleground of the 18-day average. Now you can go either way. Let me explain this. If you get over 174.09, you could end up with a pattern of higher lows, higher highs. Who's controlling the market right now? Well, momentum is still pointing down. The bias is down, the trend is down. So the bears are still controlling. Where do they have to stop the market from going? Through that number. So that 172.30 level's probably a zone they want to defend. Does that mean you're going there? No, but I'm just giving you the numbers that I'm seeing on the chart. In uranium, it's a similar situation. You've now sat down for 4 days at the 18-day average. Get over this 1957, you get an upside breakout. Get under 1907, you get a continuation. You could be looking in the 18 zone before you know what's going on. In PAVE, the market has just gone into this sideways action. No surprise. We know that the Biden administration is trying very hard to get through their idea of what this infrastructure program is going to be. And every day you're hearing about it. So it's hard to get bearish because this is your infrastructure, one of the ETFs that covers it. So it's staying strong, but nothing's happened yet. Today I was reading articles are the states going to control the funds? Is the federal government? Do the two fight with each other? What the mandates will be? We're already at that stage, which is something you'd expect. You're over the 18-day average. You've got the swing line pointing higher. You fought the resistance once. If it goes up again, I look for it to be right there again at 2610. Of course, that would be a new high on the whole move, but you're overbought. Overbought will not, in my opinion at least, attract new capital. It could, but I don't see it. You're not trying to embed. Overbought's overbought. You correct an overbought condition in one of two ways. You either embed, where you drive both the numbers of the slow stochastic over 80 and keep them there, or you get a price break and you get away from being overbought. We'll see which one. THCX, I said yesterday, and I'll continue with my thoughts. I'm looking for the support in this market against that 1755, the combination of the Bollinger Band and the 100-day average. I think the pros came out 3 days ago. This is the gravy. We're not embedded, we're oversold. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, okay? By the way, getting out is not getting bullish. So people will say, well, Ira said to get out, he's bullish. That's not what I've just said. There's a point where you take money off the table. Not every trade goes forever, and when you get down to these areas, that's what I think the smart money is doing. When we come to the SMH, you're still with an embedded reading. So we've had a correction until that red line closes under 79. I think the odds are stronger of going to the upper Bollinger Band than to the 18-day average. Get it under that, then I think you're going to the 18-day average. I think momentum is what you watch, not price. XLI, fully embedded reading. What does that mean? It means that I think the pros are buying all the breaks, looking for higher highs. Now, there's two numbers that they look for. One is the Bollinger Band. I think there's also another number called a window envelope at play. I discussed the window envelope in my subscriber morning videos. I put out 2 videos in the morning, each about 20 minutes long. And I cover what I think that day is going to hold using all the tools that I have. Here you only get a few of them. That's how I'm going to keep this. Want to be a subscriber, you get the benefit, and then you'll say, this so much wraps in with what he's talking in the mornings too. XLE is just a sideways churn. You've got a lower low, higher high. You've brought in the black lines, the Bollinger Bands, and you've narrowed them in rather dramatically. From there, the next move will determine what's going to be. That's so classic of what happens in a market. SPY, as long as you got that embedded reading, where am I? Hand up, I'm in the bull camp. And it will end. All good things come to an end. Of course, 10 years ago, that's what they were saying, right? Do you remember that when this bull market began and it's climbed the wall of worry all the time, the rhetoric's the same, we're getting ahead of valuations, we're doing this, we're doing that, and inevitably you do get a shock of a correction. It's all been very short-lived, and the markets come back each time for new highs. Why do you think so many analysts are always saying buy? They'll never talk the short side of a market because they can always tell their client, yeah, Joe, this isn't good, but I think it's going to come back. They're not going out of business. They'll be fine. Okay, I've been there. Was a stockbroker, commodity broker. I know the game. You can see how the market's still embedded, locked in on emerging markets. Now, this and the dollar index are the interesting plays. The dollar index has gone back into its bear pattern. So it took 4 months, 3 months of the year after the market rallied from January until now, where it suddenly has had a sudden sharp reversal. The question is the reversal going to have legs to it or not? And I write about that in tonight's report for my paid subscribers. I write 2 times a day a subscriber report, and I write like remember the old Reader's Digest? Headlines and bullet points and then a synopsis. That's what I do. I don't want to write 5 pages of a letter every night. I used to read Dennis Gartman's letter for years. I had friends that read it, and Dennis has been on my TV show years ago. A really nice person, by the way. And I don't know how he wrote every night the same things, and he'd fill up 5, 6 pages, and I know he's copying paragraphs because I go, I know he just said that, blah, blah. I don't want to do Phil, all right? I don't have that much to say. Dennis said it. First of all, he's way more eloquent than I am. So as you look at how the market went here, you can see how it's going. Pretty cool. Still a bull. Now, gold, interesting. So the gold market is overbought, has not changed that. It's gotten up to the upper Bollinger Band. So it took a while, a week and a half from the lower band to the upper. Have I not said you're churning in here? I'm pretty sure I've said that to everybody, and that's exactly where you're at this point in time. The churn. Are we going to resolve to the upside on this? Don't know. Honest answer. Right now the trend is up. You're overbought, and you're into the key resistance where I think the pros took some money out of their GLD and their GDX today. Same story, or is it? Well, let's see what GDX is doing. Both numbers were over 80 today. Yesterday, come on, There we go. Wednesday, both over 80, and the day before, both over 80. Well, lo and behold, it's embedded. This is where the strength is, not in the GLD. This is a stronger market. So on the pullbacks in here, it wouldn't surprise me that you get a big break towards the 100-day average, that as long as you keep the red line over 80, you see aggressive buying in the marketplace. So there's rules that I have for that, and I discuss them in the morning subscriber video, not here. TLT, overbought, stuck its head finally over the upper Bollinger Band. So did we not say that this whole big leg to the downside ended when you got through this high? I went over this week for you, and now you're in the churn. You're still in the churn. And I know you're going to tell me that, Ira, it's a breakout. It could be. You need more than one day of settling like that to prove to me it's a breakout. One day doesn't prove anything. You got under it here. Was that a breakout? Was that a breakout? Sideways action is different, I agree, and that could be what it is. I'll wait and see. FXE, overbought, very close to the upper Bollinger Band. I think the pros are peeling off positions between right here and that upper Bollinger Band. And it's been a vertical rise from 109.55 all the way up here, a nice rise. So you put it all together, you get a game plan, and that's what it is. Now, if you think you already know Bollinger Bands as I describe them here, believe what I'm about to tell you. In the new course that I did, and you may not believe this, but it's like going for your master's degree. I'm going to combine momentum, the moving averages and all, and bring you into the Bollinger Bands with things that I know you haven't seen. Why? Because I created them, and this is the first time I've taught them the way that I am right here. So I don't think anybody else has done it. I've not seen it. If I do, I apologize. I certainly didn't copy it. And I think I've come up with something unique that offers you a different type of trade tool for both longer term and shorter term trading. So yes, it applies to weekly charts, it applies to daily. Daily is always the better way to look at it because daily make up the weekly. There's 13 videos, each about 6-7 minutes long. Going with it, we're going to give you our charting software. Why? I want you to be able to do just what I'm doing and you see it. For those of you that subscribe in the morning to my subscriber videos, you're going to have it drilled into you because I go over it every morning. That's not part of the course. I've made this course very inexpensive. My regular charting course is $250. This is nothing like that. So it's meant to be an add-on. I'm assuming you know Bollinger Bands. If you don't, this is not the course for you. It's the graduate level. You're going up in your degree here. If you already know Bollinger Bands and you want to get something that adds to it, I'm going to bring you to a new level, I think. How do you go look at it and everything? You can either go to our website under the word education. You can call my staff. They'll work with you, and away you go. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great evening. I will talk to you all tomorrow.